Imagine Las Vegas, 2,000-seat auditorium. The concert show just ended and the crowd goes wild, shouting, "King!" And King himself, Elvis Presley, goes to his room, closes the door, and sings quietly, soulful gospels and tune down. Not for recording, not for public, for himself. And I'm Sokolenko. Today we're going to talk about something very personal. Why do people who has everything suddenly turns to God? We will examine this not from point of morality or religion, but from point of view of psychology. And I will start with the basis, which is loneliness. And someone may say, what? They have fans, they have money. What's wrong with that? And there is a main paradox. Because of their crazy popularity, the paparazzi, the loss of privacy, they are almost forced to stay behind the long fence only with their managers and security guards. When there are many people around, but they all stay on the other side of the fence. And also, all relationships seems fake. I'm sure you can go crazy from that. And in this situation, faith becomes your safe place. The only place where the person is accepted and loved, not for fame, for money, but simply for who they are. And let's take Elvis as an example. And I want to say his story is a psychological thriller in itself. From childhood, Elvis was raised in the spirit of charismatic assembly of God Church. It was a very emotional, expressive phase with guitar and songs, and this definitely shaped his inner and, if you will, his religious code. But then his life turned in the crowd of fame, temptation, and crazy schedule, and that's where the inner conflicts began. His stepbrother described, Elvis thought that he had a devil on his one shoulder and a God on another, and there was a constant battle going on in his head. So imagine this Bergen, image and personality. On the stage, he was a sex symbol, whose hip movement shocked America, but inside, he was a small town boy whose mother took him to the church, where it was sinful to dance. Expectations and reality. He was expected to perform endless shows, but after concerts, he would unwing himself by singing gospel songs until morning. It was his way of self-regulation, resetting a nervous system stronger than alcohol or anything else. And finally, loneliness. His stepbrother recalled that Elvis never went to church as a megastar. He was afraid that people would look at him instead of pastor, and that would interfere with the service. He deprived himself of a sense of community. So, what did he do? He created his own personal church. He prayed before every performance to calm his nerves. He constantly read and studied Bible, which he carried with him, underlined passages that were important to him. In a moment of crisis, for example, when his marriage with Priscilla was falling apart, he, according to his brother, dived into the Bible. For him, it was like a living source of comfort and forgiveness. As he said, God forgives us and drew great comfort from this. Now let's break down the psychological mechanism at work here. And my theory is that it's unresolved trauma and lack of coping skills. Fame, especially such a defendant fame, it's a huge stress factor. And if a person does not have such a strong psychological immunity, healthy mechanism for overcoming stress, it can be hobbies, real friends, or psychotherapy. The psychic sees for the most powerful and the fastest way to reboot. And faith becomes just such a coping mechanism. Turning to faith, it's not just a whim. It's a complex psychological response to the need for unconditional acceptance. You're loved not for something but just because. A sense of wholeness. You're a child of God, not an idol turned to pieces. And existential protection from thoughts of death and loneliness. It's a way to regain control over at least some parts of one's life. So, why does anyone seek help? The answer is that people with more developed identity and access to different sources find a different safe space. Some people go into psychotherapy, some build a family as a fortress, and some find answers in philosophy. But for many, like Elvis, faith becomes the most sincere path to themselves. This is not weakness. It's a desperate, but in a way, very beautiful attempt to save one's soul from complete dissolution into the image imposed by the world. Elvis once said, "All I want is to know the truth, to know and experience God. I am a seeker. That's my whole essence." I think this phrase is a key to understanding not just the personal drama, but also the phenomenon as a whole. At the heart of fame and madness, he remained as a lonely seeker who simply wanted to return home. And for him, that home was faith. That's all for today's episode. I would like to hear your opinion on my analysis. Write in the comments about your safe place where you can be truly yourself. Good luck and see you soon.